welcome back, mission-driven moms. We're going to talk about the question, why life mission, and why life mission for moms. Those are super important questions, and I get asked them quite often. So we're going to talk about the 3 reasons why life mission is worth the effort, and it's going to make all the difference in your life and in your home. The first reason why life mission is so important is because we all think that what we really want is happiness, and we do want happiness, but we actually want something more than happiness. It goes back to Viktor Frankl, and he was studying psychology and psychiatry in the 1920s in Vienna. And there was the school systems there were designed such that the kids would take all these classes and get these grades back and take certain tests. And depending on how those tests and grades came back, certain doors were opened or closed for these high school kids forever, for the rest of their lives. And so what ended up happening is that because of the tremendous amount of stress and pressure at this time during these kids' lives, there was a really high suicide rate. And so Viktor Frankl got really interested in this, and he wanted to try to do something about it. And so he volunteered his time while he was finishing up his residency for his doctorate degree and volunteered, and offered to help these students for free, anybody that wanted help, and the suicide rate was 0. So then he went on to work with more of these students, 3,000 at one time at one point, with other therapists helping. And then eventually World War II came on. He was Jewish. His entire family was killed, and he survived a concentration camp. And while he was in that concentration camp, of course, you can imagine the kind of feelings that he's having, how miserable he is, how pointless it all feels, his family is gone. And at one point, he was digging in the dirt and hungry and tired and sick and barely clothed and freezing. And he had a vision come into his mind, a picture of himself in the future in a lecture hall giving a presentation on his experiences with these youth before World War II, and then his experiences and the experiences of the other concentration camp victims during the war. And he was sharing this other information with other therapists and helping to move the therapy world forward. And suddenly he found his purpose. He found his mission. And he took these experiences that he'd had in his past, and they came into sharp focus as he realized what he was going to do, not just in the future, but today. And suddenly that picture of the future, that mission that he was preparing for, helped bring today into sharp focus. And he understood why he wanted to get out of bed in the morning, why he wanted to connect with the other camp victims, why he wanted to befriend them and learn their stories and try to help them. Because he did care, but now it was more than that. Now it was not just him, and it was not just these victims in this camp. It was thousands, tens of thousands. I mean, at this point, his story has reached millions of people. And when he shares his story in Man's Search for Meaning, the second half of the book is his therapeutic model called logotherapy. And it's logos from the Greek word, logos is a Greek word for meaning. So it's meaningful therapy. So he took everything that he'd learned all those years, and he taught therapists for the rest of his life how to help their clients find life purpose, find their mission. And when they did, so many other troubles faded away. He talks about how even in suffering, they could find purpose and meaning. And when they had meaning, then so many of their other troubles just faded away. They didn't need therapy anymore because now they had this inner motivation, this reason to get up in the morning, this reason to work hard, this reason to reach out, this reason to learn, to progress, to solve their own problems, whatever the case was, because they had a mission, they had a call. He talks about how we don't need to feel great. We don't need to have no stress. What we need is to feel a calling for a purpose that only we can fulfill. And he talks about how we want happiness and we can have happiness, but happiness isn't something we can genuinely seek. Happiness is something, he says, it must ensue. And it ensues, he says, only as a direct result of losing ourselves to a cause that's bigger than ourselves. And so you and I want happiness. We can't pursue happiness, but we can pursue mission. We can lose ourselves in a cause that's greater than ourselves. And in doing so, we'll receive the fulfillment, the meaningful experiences, and the joy that comes from mission and the personal happiness that we're seeking because it will ensue from life mission. As moms, this picture comes even more sharply into focus because what a lot of moms want to do is be what some authors, I can't remember their names, they call them helicopter moms. And if you stick around the mission-driven mom very often, for very long, you're going to hear that term pretty often because when we as moms decide that we're going to put motherhood first and that we're going to really focus on the kids and really try to be the best moms that we can, it's easy to become a helicopter mom. And your life just revolves around them. You know, you're the helicopter that just hovers over them. And this isn't what's best for them, and it's not what's best for you. Now, the flip side of that is the absentee mom. The mom that decides that in order for her life to have meaning, she's got to take off and go out and do mission despite her kids. And I talk about this in the introduction of the Mission-Driven Life. So we don't want either of those models. So what we have to do, first of all, is find personal happiness by losing ourselves in life mission. Now, that's the first most important reason for finding mission. In fact, I want to read you what Daniel Taylor said. He says, our greatest desire, greater even than the desire for happiness, is that our lives mean something. And so our lives need to mean something. And that's the second really important reason for life mission, and it's to leave a legacy. And if we're not going to be a helicopter mom or an absentee mom, what we really have to do, what we really want to do, is find this life purpose and pursue purpose and mission and lose ourselves in mission so that we can leave a legacy. And what's cool about pursuing mission is that it creates it's self-generating motivation. So a lot of the I can't get up in the morning and I don't feel motivated to do certain things or learn certain things or change certain things about myself, a lot of that just goes away because you have this greater cause. You've lost yourself in something that's bigger than you, and so you have to prepare yourself for that. Now, we want to leave a legacy, right? So part of what made us moms is that we want to have children, raise them, watch them become great men and women and do great things in the world. Now, I've heard a lot of moms say that their mission in life is to be a mom. And they're right. Their mission in life is to be a mom. But that's not their only mission. And it can't be their only mission. And you know why? Because if that were their only mission, then their children's only mission would be to be a mom. And their children's only mission would be to be a mom. And where will those individuals come from that will step outside their homes and participate in aiding humanity as well? Well, that's where we say motherhood and mission, because we're going to leave a legacy of being a connected, aware, in tune mother and modeling womanhood and modeling motherhood by pursuing mission in the right way, in the way I describe in the Mission-Driven Life, and bringing our children along with us. Let them watch you, model it for them, and bring them along with you in some of the work that you do, and then they'll see what motherhood really is and what womanhood really is, and you'll leave a two-part legacy. You'll leave not just good, solid men and women, but mission-driven men and women. Your sons and daughters will become the kinds of people who also want to raise great people and make a difference in their communities and step outside themselves and serve and use their gifts to bless others because you modeled it for them. There are so many stories I could tell you, including Mother Teresa. You know, Albert Schweitzer, their parents modeled this for them, and they went on to follow that model. So we want to leave this legacy behind us of our own personal life mission and then mission-driven sons and daughters. Now, the third really important reason for life mission is caught up in this really cool story. I want to tell you about Daniel Taylor. He wrote The Healing Power of Stories. And he tells the story of himself when he's a young man and in his teenage years. And he kind of had fallen in love with reading, had started doing some reading, and at one point he picked up the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And he said that, he says, I was drawn not so much to the plot of the adventure as to the characters having the adventure. And so he connected with these characters, and he felt like they felt, and he kind of felt like he was doing what they were doing, and he just felt this really intimate connection. And he says, the story gave me courage to say to myself what I already felt to be true from my own experience, that good and evil are real, that it mattered a great deal which one wins out in the world, and that the outcome depended on me. So the third super important reason that you and I, as mothers and as women, must pursue life mission and prepare ourselves and hear the call and act courageously on that call is because evil is real. And it must be fought. Because there are those, as he goes on to say, sophistic thinkers, so relativists and atheists, who assured me that good and evil are not real, that they are just subjective and transient points of view. He said, but I knew better. And I knew better because of the education I'd received from Tolkien. When I had a son who was interested in reading Lord of the Rings, and this isn't to promote Lord of the Rings. There are many, many books and many, many life experiences, including your scripture and other things that obviously will teach you that evil is real. But Tolkien himself was a very devout Christian, and he had a very deep understanding of great literature and an incredible education, and he felt a call to write stories that would do this exact thing, that would bring people into a world and outside their experience and show and teach them that there is good and evil and that evil needs to be fought. And so for Daniel Taylor, this was motivation. He said, I didn't have the words yet to know how to fight this, but he was motivated to gain the skills to prepare himself to fulfill his own life mission in fighting evil in his own unique way, because he knew that evil was real and it needed to be fought, and it mattered who won, and he wanted to ensure that he had done everything in his power to make sure that good won. And he did many really cool things in his life to promote good and to fight evil. So we need, as moms, as mission-driven moms, to pursue life mission and do the hard work that it's going to require, and do those things, change, look at ourselves, be self-analytical and self-critical, and engage in self-care and self-discovery and all the things that the book talks about, because we need a meaning, a purpose in our lives. And our children are part of that purpose. But guess what? They're going to grow up. They're going to leave home. And we've got to model for them. The second thing, leave a legacy for them of making a difference outside their homes as well as inside their homes. We have to show them that they have gifts because we're invested in finding our gifts. We have to show them that self-education matters because we're engaged in our own self-education. We have to put our house in order and put our lives in line with principles because we want them to put their lives in line with principles. We do and model everything we want for them. And then we've got this awesome two-part incredible legacy because our calling is unique and we have two parts to our life mission. And thirdly, we're going to fight evil. We're going to teach our children to be fighters of evil, and we will fight evil, and we will buoy up the poor and the sickly and the ignorant and whoever else needs buoying up, and we will use our gifts to make a difference in their lives because they need us. Our children need us and the world needs us. So engage on this quest with me. Don't shy away yet. Don't get scared and worried, because the best part is the adventure of it, the excitement of it, the community that we enjoy here at the Mission Driven Mom, the tools that we have that so many people haven't had in the past. We know what to do. We know how to get started. It's not going to be always pretty. It's going to be a little sticky. It's going to get a little ugly sometimes, but it's going to be amazing. I can't tell you how all of this information, all of this knowledge, all of this experience has totally transformed me. I am a completely different person than I was 20 years ago. I know exactly where I'm going and exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it for God. And I'm doing it for my children, and I'm doing it for myself, and I'm doing it for you. And so just make the commitment to yourself that you're going to do this. And if you can't find any better reason right now, do it for your kids, because they need you to model it so that they will also become mission-driven men and women. And with that, please, if this was helpful to you, forward it on to anyone that can benefit from it. Please come join our Facebook group, Mission Driven Mom Mastermind. We would love to have you engage in conversation with us about everything that we're doing. Please go over to the missiondrivenmom.com and grab your copy of The Mission Driven Life so that you can understand these 7 laws of life mission that we're discussing here, and subscribe so that you can get more of these videos in the future.